Up, everybody? It's your boy Andrew L. Case, and you are now tuned into the Middle Initial Podcast. Today is August 28th, 2023, and I'm here with my co-host as usual, Jude A. Jackson and Kevin A. Lewis. Jude, say what's up to the people.
Hello, everyone. I hope things are going well today. I got a new hat. I hope I don't get the brim, whatever the fuck jokes today. But yes, I got a new hat because I got a training camp with Case. So I'm like, okay, let me get this nice hat. I know Kev's anxious to say something.
Listen, man, the brim is not as big as North America this week, so I can't say anything. The hat is fine. I can't say
Oh,
anything.
well, this is amazing. First compliment I got from Kev in like 5 years.
I
Wow.
didn't. That was not a compliment. I just said I
Yeah,
can't
I
make
don't.
it. That was not
The
a
hat,
compliment.
the hats have gotten progressively better. I will give you that. You know, it beats the Mets. It by far beats the Mets hat. The brim size is correct, so it beats the Yankees hat. So you're right there. You're right there. You're one hat away.
But
You're one hat
that's
away.
like the hat's beating the Mets hat is like a quarterback being better than Zach Wilson. That doesn't
Oh
exactly
no.
take a whole lot.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't take a whole lot.
Well, I would ask how you're doing, Kev, but you're still a piece of shit. Welcome to the show for the very first
Wow,
time,
wow.
and hopefully we don't scare him away. Host of the Jake Asman Show on YouTube, host on ESPN New York 98.7. Jake Asman, welcome to the show, Jake. How you doing?
Thanks for having me, guys. I know we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks already, so I'm glad we can make it happen.
Definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely. Definitely glad to have you on the show. We got a lot to discuss, so we are going to jump into it straight away. Thoughts on the Jets preseason? I'm going to ask you, Jake. I know a lot of. I know I've been to camp a couple of times. Drew's been to camp. How many times has been to camp? Drew, a couple of times too, right? Kev's is a generator. He doesn't go to Jets training camp, unfortunately. So won't ask him his thoughts right away. But of course, Jake, he covers the Jets. What were your thoughts, on training camp in its entirety?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be encouraged if you're a Jet fan, right? First off, I mean, through at least the conclusion of training camp, no major injuries, which has not been the case the last couple of years, right? It feels like the vast majority of the team is going to be healthy, ready to go for the Bills game Monday night. Now, I say that fully realizing we still got 2 weeks to go and things could happen, but I think ultimately you feel pretty good about kind of where this team's at, what you saw from the first team offense, and from the first team defense. So hopefully they go out there and they set the tone Monday night now, 2 weeks from tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. The Jets have been the defense, of course, hasn't been a question mark as much as we have questions on offense, especially off the line, leading up to the end with Becton finally getting the nod at the very last few weeks of preseason and training camp as well. A lot of fans have to see that. Dwayne Brown has been medically cleared, so of course, we're happy to see that as well. Um, Sad news, unfortunate news. Corey Davis preemptively retiring, very unexpected. What were your thoughts initially when you heard Corey Davis was calling it quit? And do you think this is football related, or this is just somebody who realized, hey, I just no longer have the desire and passion to play?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, I feel weird speculating on it, right? I mean, I think it's weird that Robert Sala, his first, answer when asked about it was, his thoughts and prayers are with him, Corey and his family. So that to me is kind of like an alarm. Like, well, why would he be saying that if the guy's just choosing to retire on his own? But anytime you see a 28-year-old announce his retirement, who still has it, still has a lot left and can make over $10 million, I think you obviously you know, want to know why or you question it. But it's disappointing because I think Corey could have helped this team, but it's not catastrophic from the standpoint that I still think they have enough around Rodgers to still be able to go out there and score a lot of points. So hopefully no more injuries, right? Because then you start to really question the depth there. But I think for right now, going into week one, you feel pretty good about where they're at.
Yeah. The question that I also have in regards to the Corey Davis situation. Do you feel like the Jets should have been more proactive in getting a free agent wide receiver or maybe via trade? considering that Corey was kind of like, a bubble guy, like he may or may not make it. And like they kind of waited. They kind of made it clear, hey, he's going to be our guy. And then, right again, like buzzer beater last week, he decides, hey, football's not for me anymore. Do you feel like there's any regret there in the front office?
Well, they tried to get Odell Beckham, who would have obviously taken Corey Davis's spot on the roster. And once they didn't get OBJ, I just wonder, like, what other wide receiver could they have been in on that they chose not to sign? Like, they signed Lazard already. He got the second highest contract out of any wide receiver in free agency. Like, they were never really in on DeAndre Hopkins, doesn't sound like. So that maybe would be the only other guy. But, I mean, it kind of is what it is, right? Like, I think it's just an unfortunate set of circumstances. Thankfully, because of the three tight ends they have, because you signed Dalvin Cook and you have Brees coming back, I think they have enough playmakers, forget just receivers, just overall playmakers to kind of mask the fact that you're losing a pretty good player in Corey Davis. He's not a great player. He's a good player. And now your depth could be tested if you have another injury or two. But I still think ultimately they're in okay shape. And once they didn't get Beckham, I kind of felt like, all right, the receivers they had at that point, those were going to be the receivers they entered training camp with.
Before we move forward, make sure you guys are following us on Instagram and Twitter at MIPod9. Make sure you comment, rate, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure you support the pod. Jude, you wanted Aaron Rodgers to be in bubble wrap. You didn't want him to play the Giants. About the blitzes and oh my God, the Giants are tryhards and everything like that. From what you saw from those two series, Jude, after you panic vomited all over yourself. How did you feel after the Rodgers touchdown to Garrett Wilson?
Well, I mean, it's pretty much going to be a lot of Rodgers to Garrett Wilson throughout the entire season, pretty much. Like, I know Kev's the big fantasy guy, but if there's any chance for you to draft Garrett Wilson high, you should draft Garrett Wilson high because I don't think anyone else has really quite earned his trust yet. I know he's being more patient and everything, but judging from like the Cobb comments and everything, and judging just from what we've seen, it's going to be the Garrett Wilson show, and that's fine. Garrett Wilson can do it, but yeah. But besides that, Rodgers looked good. He looked fine. He made the blitz. He did all of that stuff. I was like, okay, good. He's moving around. He didn't die upon getting hit, so that's great. That's what I like to see. That's all we ask for.
So you weren't highly pissed off to the Giants for blitzing and everything like that?
The thing with the Giants is that I just feel like playing stars versus Giants in preseason is always just the riskiest thing because for some reason the Giants go super hard in preseason versus the Jets. Every year they go super hard. And I feel like I've seen a decent amount of injuries from that game alone. Like I remember we talked about last week, but the Mark Sanchez thing. I remember Eli Manning getting his head gashed open like back in 2010. So like there's been some crazy fucking injuries that game. So yes, I was a little worried. If this was like versus the Bucs, I would be like, okay, go on, Rodgers. But versus the Giants, they have a little extra. So yes, it's the history thing in preseason. Yes, I know it sounds crazy. I know Kev will have a lot to say about that, but yes, I was nervous about that. Now that that's over, I'm not nervous. See how that works?
Well, you know I was throwing the alley off the glass to Kev. So Kev, I know you have a rebuttal to Jude's concerns about last week's preseason game, but I also know you're excited about how Rodgers looked in the second series, not so much the first series. What were your overall thoughts from the final game of the preseason?
First of all, bringing up preseason history is the lowest moment of this podcast. I just want to say that off rip. Bringing up I didn't want to play Rodgers because Eli got his head gashed open 10 years ago is insane. And I know I do a podcast with two history majors. And even that this just is a new level of insane that I can't even fathom. As far as the question, not to veer too far off the damn topic, Rodgers did what Rodgers does, and Garrett Wilson did what Garrett Wilson does, and we have 17 good pass rushers on the Jets, which is great. I'm ready for the season to start. I don't really have a whole lot to add. There's nothing that was done there that shocked me. It was just Aaron Rodgers is good at football. I've been asking for a good quarterback and or a good pass rush on the Jets for 25 years. And I don't know what to do because we have them both at the same time now. So it's like I don't know what to do with myself. It's going to be fun on Sundays, I hope, at least. Like, God willing, everybody stays healthy. The wide receiver core is still a concern from a perspective, for me at least, from a perspective of Garrett Wilson twists his ankle, has to miss a couple weeks. I don't know about the rest of these dudes. Like Lazard is fine as the primary guy. We're talking about a whole different discussion. And I'm not going to get started on McCole Hardman. Nobody needs to hear my opinions. You know what I think about him. I think he stinks. Like we don't need to rehash that. And then besides that, what do you have? Like you're looking at what Randall Cobb playing a decent amount of snaps. I don't think Randall Cobb is cooked. I don't want to see Randall Cobb playing 40 snaps a game either. So it's either way. As long as Garrett is upright, he is going to eat, and the Jets' offense is going to be pretty good. So it's hard not to be optimistic about the team, even though I know the two people I host this podcast with will try their best to not be optimistic about the team. So there's that.
Wow. Way to throw us under the bus for a company. You know what I mean? First time Jake's on the show.
You can't tell me I lied though.
You call us negative and history buffs. Like I'm not too sure. I like the tone.
That is the foundation of the podcast, actually. So yes, I did.
Wow.
I don't like the tone.
Crazy.
I don't like the tone of your voice or the color of your hat. So, thoughts of the preseason, like you said, couldn't end sooner. A lot of heated, hefty debates in the Discord. Shout out to our Discord members. Shout out to our Patreon members. It's finally over. We can now, get rid of the overall negativity we had with the whole off season going into the Rodgers saga, going into the Beckham saga and stuff like that. A lot of the bad, heavy, nasty stuff. Okay, Kev, when I say we, I'm talking about people who were in conversation. You were part of that too. So I'm acting like you're absolved of conversation. Please.
I wasn't negative.
You were part of the conversation. I didn't say
I am. You said negativity. We can get over the negativity. We implies that everybody else is involved.
So, my apologies, my liege. I forgot. You're the penultimate head of positivity for everything New York Jets. Forgive me.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
But with that being said, though, of course, we are the New York Jets, and this is not a lucky fan base, so to speak. So, Jake, I gotta ask you: should we be worried? Is there anything for us to worry about? Anything you've seen that says, maybe this may be an issue during the regular season?
I don't think there's a glaring hole on this team, but I mean, the worry is we're still Jet fans at the end of the day, right? It's like, it's been going too well for far too long. Like when does the other shoe kind of drop, right? That's
right.
That's, I guess, like the fan worry. But if you break down this roster objectively, like, yeah, can you say maybe they could use another receiver, or they could use another linebacker, or like you could find something, but no NFL team is perfect, and this is the best roster they've had since 2010 by far. So I'm just trying to look at it from a positive lens, because in the past we've had to like try and convince ourselves to be positive for something, where like I don't feel like if you watch this team and we watched what happened last year, they were a quarterback away, you have to do that much convincing. So I guess the worry is we're Jet fans, but the positivity in me is like, if I can't enjoy this now, when am I ever going to enjoy it? So that's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Right. This is when you mentioned 2010, right? And a lot of time, we try to glare over 2015 for how it ends. But I said in the Discord, if we had the receiving core of 2015 for this team, I would have nothing to worry about. Like that's cash money.
I'd be talking crazy.
Right. There's nothing you can say. But the thing, like I said, Becton being named starting right tackle, all right. Not liking the fact that Billy Turnstile is going to be starting left tackle week 1.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully Dwayne Brown is back by week 2.
Brown's playing week 1. He's going to start week 1.
Why would Brown?
Okay. No, I posted that it was reported that Turner was starting week 1. So I guess that's something changed.
Yeah, no, Dwayne Brown's the week 1 starter. He'll be back by then.
Okay. Oh, thank God. All right.
Yeah, don't worry.
All right. Don't have to worry about that.
Don't worry
about that. But no, seriously, because when I heard, I was like, no, we're not starting week 1. Like that can't be true. Dwayne Brown's back. But I thought maybe he's taking another week off.
Look at this guy seeking negativity. Look at him.
Anyway,
amazing.
The defense being what it is, the pass rush. Have you heard anything schematically about possibly doing like a 5-2? Like I know they run the 4-3, but what are the chances of saying you have McDonald, uh, McDonald, Johnson, Huff, JFM, and Quinnen all on the line at one point in time? Like, did you hear anything from Ulrich if there's going to be some extra spiciness on that defensive front? Because I feel like you could McDonald is versatile enough to put his hands on the ground, but also kind of stand him up in like a off 5-2 type of defense type of base if they want to really get all their best pass rushers in, especially on like maybe like a third and long or something like that. Are you hearing anything?
So what they call that their NASCAR package, right? Get their best pass rushers out there on the field with Quinn up the middle. Mm-hmm. They did that a little bit last year. I guess the problem with that is they didn't have leads last year late in games, right? They were always trying to play catch up. So, now if you get some leads with Rodgers at quarterback, I bet you see those type of packages where you're going to get some of your just pure pass rushers on the field. I mean, I'll tell you what, though, the guy who needs to be on the field all the time, and I don't care when Carl Lawson comes back and he's healthy, Jermaine Johnson's going to play a ton more than he did last year. I think he will, but this guy is unbelievable. I think he's better than Carl Lawson now, so we'll see what happens when Lawson is back, if he's even going to play week 1. But, I mean, they got to get their best pass rushers on the field. Jermaine's one of them. Huff, McDonald, 100% could see a package like that coming.
I thought you were going to say Huff because the way Huff was playing. Go ahead, Jay.
I was going to say, this is a random thing, and I just thought about this now, but with Carl Lawson, this is going to sound super casual, but I don't feel like we've seen many highlights of him as a Jet, like this past year, and we've already seen much more of like Jermaine Johnson, Bryce Huff, all those guys. Carl Lawson's just there. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just a casual take, but that's just
he had the quietest 7 sacks, because I think a lot of people didn't realize he had 7 sacks last season. It was a quiet, right? It was a very quiet 7. It's hard to say 7 sacks after coming off an injury is quiet, but maybe because we were playing from behind, maybe not playing with the leads, you don't really notice that Carl was pretty solid, especially coming from that type of injury. And he did promise double-digit sacks. Unfortunately, with the back injury, I'm like, don't know how he's going to do that. Still enough time to do it. But other guys are ready. Like Jake said, Jermaine Johnson, and, I don't, like, I'm not walking back my original pre-draft thoughts to him, but what he did in the offseason is tantamount to who he is and who he's been at every level. So if you go to say if you go to just say the what show that Last Chance U stuff and going from a couple different colleges, he's been a professional, and I've said plenty of times he's a lunch pail guy, blue collar guy. But what he did in the offseason by just saying, I'm gonna lose weight, get ripped, and develop a nasty streak. Watching him, I thought the first training camp and get into the fights. The first thing I said is, I like that. He's just watching Hard Knocks, watching One Just Drive. He is developed a nasty streak, and that's what you need to play in the trenches. And I completely agree with Jake. He needs to be on the field. Like, he's going to be like that and not really care who's in front of him. Play him often, and make sure he's in almost every other play. Go ahead, Kev.
I'm worried about the wide receivers to a degree. That's light. That's it. That's basically all I'm really concerned about, because I mean, we could nitpick holes on every single roster. Nobody has a perfect roster. Obviously, some have better than others. Yada yada yada. But we can nitpick until we're blue in the face. Am I saying the Jets roster is perfect? No. Do I think that their linebackers are going to stop them from making the Super Bowl if everything goes right and they play accordingly enough? No. Do I think? I mean, what else is there really? I mean, yeah, they could use another wide receiver. That could stop them. To be fair, because if Garrett Wilson sprains his ankle in the first quarter of the divisional game, listen, I'm just saying. Like, I ain't putting it out there. I don't want it to happen, but I'm just saying. Now, when they trade for Devontae Adams at the trade deadline, like, none of this will matter, and then we'll all be happy. So,
So who takes 17 in that scenario? That's what I want to know. Who's going to take 17 if Devontae Adams comes here?
17 this year, and then when he changes to 5 next year, then Devontae can get 17, and we all win.
Devontae has more than enough money to buy 17 for Gary Wilson. So
sure, I don't know if you can change jersey numbers mid-season though. That's
you can't. That's a good point.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you can't. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then
So,
they can talk.
topic of conversation, not so wide receiver. We're at the wide receiver portion of the conversation. Um, Brownlee did make the team, apparently, based off his Instagram post at least. Um, we did discuss the possibility of somebody not making it, but with Corey Davis retiring, it did open up that slot. Some people were expecting what's his name to make it. He got cut today. The other wide receiver got cut. Help me out. Atkins?
Malik Taylor? Is
No,
that
not Taylor. No, somebody got cut today. He had 2 touchdowns in preseason.
I do not know.
Forgot his name. We'll get to the cuts in a second. But we did open up. You got Brownlee as a receiver. Hopefully he steps up. Like the Jets need somebody to step up and become that guy, so we're not panicking or giving up assets just because we need to get a name. Like somebody said, mentioned Hollywood Brown in the Discord. I'm like, is there a reason to add another 5'9" wide receiver to this roster? We have 3 wide receivers 5'10" or shorter. We don't need to add another 5'9" wide receiver. So like Hollywood Brown, he's
5'10" shorter.
Cobb is 5'10". Gibson is 5'9". Who else? Oh, McCole Hardman. He's listed as 5'10", but I know he's 5'9". He's listed as 5'10". So like Hollywood Brown,
he's 5'9".
Like getting Hollywood Brown doesn't make any sense, right? Especially if you're saying, all right, that's 4 guys under 5'10". You'd be leaving with Lazard.
It's Hollywood Brown better than what we have.
Yes, I did say that he's better than Hardman, but do you sign Hardman and trade for Brown? Like, well, McCole, you're going to do what? He's not a Gibson right now looks to me like he can be a better version of Hardman. Like Gibson looks explosive. He looks shifty. You can probably find spaces for him in the offense if you wanted to do gadget plays. Like, are we kind of reaching the redundant phase where you say, let's get a Hollywood Brown? Go ahead, Jude.
I do have an interesting point, and this is because of Aaron Rodgers. I think if Gibson makes a couple of catches and Aaron Rodgers lobbies to keep him on the field, we talked a bit about how there might be coaching politics in the past couple of years with different players and whatnot. I think if Aaron Rodgers is here, that sort of stuff just goes away. It's going to be the Aaron Rodgers politics. If you can catch, if he can trust you, you're going to stay on that field. He can say whatever, but he's going to stay on that field.
I mean, to add to your point, I mean that's how Lazard's entire career got started, and that's why Lazard is very, very rich right now. Like because Rodgers banged the table for him repeatedly. That's why we're here. So yeah, and
so like
I appreciate.
So you'll probably be seeing like less coaching politics, if anything. Like if someone like we saw a couple of Mims, and to be fair, Mims wasn't that good, but you get what I'm saying in the fact that if Gibson comes on there, scores a couple of touchdowns, or is in the exact right spot Aaron Rodgers needs him to be, he's going to be staying on that field. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's just how it is.
And didn't Randall Cobb allude to that in Hard Knocks? He said,
I think so.
The ball.
I think
he played with him the longest.
I think he slants a bit more towards the negative. Like, hey, if you're not in the right spot, you ain't gonna get shit. But I think that was the main takeaway. Like, you ain't in the right spot, like you ain't for the ball, bro. So be in the right spot.
I mean, I'm kind of softening the blow because he's pretty much saying catch it, or if you don't catch it, you're not gonna be there. And Aaron Rodgers kind of rebuffed that statement about him being the shouting guy. He doesn't want to be seen as the shouting guy anymore. He kind of wants to take like a more of a softer role.
I'm going to put my case hat on for a little bit, so I have to get the tinfoil. Rodgers pretty much told Cobb to be like, hey, give them the messages I don't want to give. So if I'm like, hey, you guys aren't running the right routes, Cobb can just tell them that. And it looks great. It's a player coach, all of that stuff. That's my conspiracy.
I don't think it's a tinfoil hat thing. That's not a conspiracy. I think that's actually a really good point. That's not a conspiracy. That's a good point. Like, hey, you deliver the message for me that this is how I am. If you want the ball, run the routes, catch the ball, it's going to be there 90% of the time. I don't want to say that because I have this new image to uphold, and I want to maintain that because I'm turning over a new leaf or I'm doing some good PR, whatever the case may be. But I'm pretty sure Aaron doesn't want to come across as a jerk, especially to the young guys. But Jake, how do you feel like the wide receiver depth chart plays out? We know what it is, but like during the season, is there a possibility that maybe Gibson or Brownlee cracks the starting lineup and gets more action than McCole Hardman.
I'd be surprised, but obviously, if there's an injury, then it cracks open the door for something like that. If one of them maybe impresses when someone's out of the lineup, do they continue to get playing time? But I think going in, I'd be pretty surprised if the first couple games it's not heavy. Garrett Wilson, Lazard, Hardman, Cobb, and then they're going to throw to the tight ends more this year than we're used to as Jet fans. They have the personnel to do it. I think Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook could be on the field at the same time, which means maybe they put Breece Hall in the slot and use him how the Niners have used Christian McCaffrey. Like, how are you stopping the Jets if you put Cook and Hall on the field at the same time with Garrett Wilson out there? Like, there's just too many weapons. So I don't think receivers as important as maybe some think because of all the other players we kind of mentioned before you even have to talk about a Brownlee or a Gibson getting some playing time here.
So now we definitely, I don't know if other guys have. I definitely seen a clip where you were talking to Braylon Edwards on your show, and he says Aaron Rodgers is going to get his 5th MVP. Now he won his last 2 with Nathaniel Hackett, and without Hackett, we saw how he was. If Rodgers gets his 5th, which I would completely love to, just haven't had an MVP in my lifetime. How do you think that comes about? What are the numbers? Like, give me the sweet spot, because I feel like Rodgers doesn't have to be a juggernaut offensively, but if the record shows that, hey, you won 12, 13 games, and if he just throws for 30 touchdowns, I think that may be enough. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, he doesn't need to have his 2020 season for this team to be really, really good, right? Like, if Aaron Rodgers, I think he's going to throw for over 30 touchdowns. I think he breaks every single season Jet quarterback record, which is
please.
Like, I'm tired of hearing about 31 touchdowns at 15. And
I'm so tired of
hearing please over 4,000 yards in 1967. Like, it is time. So I think Rodgers will go over that for both. But they're going to run the ball, and he doesn't need to throw 40 touchdowns for this offense to be top 10. Like, I think they're going to have a statistically speaking top 10 offense. He could throw 34 touchdowns, and they could be that good. So I think he's going to be great. I really do. As long as he's healthy, and we have no reason to think he won't be. I think we're going to see vintage Aaron Rodgers this year. I truly believe that.
I know Jude wants Aaron Rodgers to play basic bitch football. He kind of wants to have the 20. I mean, let's keep it real. Like the 26-12 that he had last year would have been perfect for Jude, because there's just enough touchdowns, just enough mistakes for him to feel happy. But Jude, if you have to, Jude, if you have to nut up, Jude, to be a man, what do you think?
Okay.
I'm just saying.
So,
what do you
for him to get MVP? I'm going to go with, say, 35 to 40 touchdowns, 4,500 yards, 10 interceptions.
I mean, that's yeah. I mean that would definitely do it. 35 to 40 touchdowns with this Jets team would definitely do it, especially 40. Definitely with this team. I don't see 40 touchdowns. I don't see 40 touchdowns from Aaron Rodgers on this team unless it's like 13 to Wilson, and then everything is spread out amongst running backs and tight ends. If we're talking about career, like Wilson is still a rookie, so I don't want to say nothing about career highs. We're talking about career highs for everybody else. I don't see 40, but career best. If he can get these guys to career best, yeah, I can see it happen. Because look what he did. Look what he did in Green Bay. The offense was pretty much Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, everybody else. So you're definitely looking at looking at Garrett. Yeah, it's not impossible, but to what Jake said, I don't know if 2020 is walking through that door.
That's MVP. I don't think he's going to get that, but that's just for MVP.
Kev, what do you think Rodgers would have to do to get that 5th MVP?
Listen, if Rodgers scores 40 touchdowns, the Jets are going to be throwing the ball a lot from the 2-yard line. That's my only takeaway. Like, if they get to the 2-yard line, they start being like, all right, 8, do what you want to do, and he starts throwing. That's the only way I can see him getting to 40. As far as MVP, I could see him getting a narrative MVP, but I don't think he's going to throw the ball enough for that to be the case, because I think the Jets defense is going to lock people up. So I don't think, if they win 13 games, let's say that's the best case scenario, I think, right? We'd agree. They win 13 games. I don't see Rodgers throwing for 4,500 yards. I don't think he's going to have to throw the ball that much, personally. And I don't think the Jets really want him to throw the ball that much. Like they want to be a balanced offense, and if they're in positive game scripts, obviously they're going to run the ball, run the clock, yada yada yada. You get the drill. So I could see him if for some reason he did like have a wildly efficient season where he throws for 40 touchdowns on like 500 attempts. Could I see them being like, wow, look at this guy changing the culture? Could I see him being one of those MVP? Yeah, I could, but I don't think it's very likely. I would not put my hard-earned American dollars on it. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. But it's possible. It's not impossible.
All right, Kev, to your point, I'm gonna put you on the spot. In those two MVP seasons, he didn't throw the ball that much. It's actually one of the like the it was actually one of the low on the lower end of the amount of times he's thrown the ball in a season. So those two MVP seasons, it was the totals were 526 and 531, and those are the lowest totals, pretty much damn near in the health in any full healthy season. So let's go over or under 515 attempts.
Well, before I comment on that, were those totals in 16 or 17 games? I forget when they put the 17.
Both for 16 games totals.
Well, for 16.
Last,
okay, so
yeah.
Add an extra game. I'd probably say slightly under. Like, I could see him averaging around 29, 30 pass attempts a game. I think that sounds about right. Because the thing is, like, obviously, I mentioned the game script stuff and how good the Jets defense is. Also, like, Rodgers is ruthlessly efficient. Like, that's his game. That's his calling card. That's been his calling card. If that doesn't slip, which I don't think it's going to slip in a major enough way for it to matter, then yeah, he could put up really good numbers on 490 pass attempts, 500 pass attempts. He could put up, 4,000 yards doing that. Like, it's not impossible because he's done it before. So,
dude, over under 515.
515. I think I'll put it under because I'm going to echo what Kev said. The game scripts for most games should be good. There's only maybe like 2-3 teams that I'm like, okay, they're probably going to force Rodgers to throw. And that's all going to be early in the season compared to later in the season. We'll talk about the schedule predictions. But yeah, 2 to 3 games. But yeah, I'll put it slightly under. If everything goes as it should, theoretically, he shouldn't have to throw the ball that much. Hopefully. God willing.
I know Jake has an answer. What's going on, Jake? Over or under 515 attempts?
Over. Why not? We're just gonna air it out. We're gonna be like the greatest show on turf.
Oh my goodness! Gracious.
Listen, I'm gonna co-sign Jake just simply off of friends and say over. If the lowest you've thrown in a 16-game season is 531, and you end up throwing 542 last season at 17, like it's not like a big thing. Like Aaron Rodgers had one 600 passing season. That was back in 2016. He threw 610 passes, what I mean, which is ridiculous, and he only had 7 interceptions. I think I'm more so paying attention to the interception percentage, because I mean, so I know he doesn't make mistakes, but 2.2% for Rodgers, my guy, that just doesn't sound right when you're coming off of 0.8, 1.1%, 0.7, and 0.3. Like 4 years is just I don't make mistakes. So I'm looking more towards the interception percentage. And hoping
it's going to be so,
10.
God willing, it's going to be so fucking great. Hopefully everything goes right. Knock on wood, all that superstitious stuff. At the end of the season, you see single-digit interceptions. I will just be like, oh my God, finally.
Imagine that.
Also, Jude, I'm sorry. I just had to make this point of correction. You said a couple of times that Aaron Rodgers has slow starts. He started off 2024 games, 70% completion percentage, 13 touchdowns, no interceptions. So I don't know.
I'm talking about the games, for example. Like there was a nasty game he had versus the Saints, and I want to say 2021 they got blown out pretty badly. Last year versus the Vikings got blown out. That's what I mean. Like the team might start.
Well, yeah, with game 1, but then he turned around and had
exactly. Yeah, so that's why I'm like, okay, that's why you didn't start in preseason. I'm like, okay. Deal with a nasty start, get it out of the way, and then go from there. But we started in preseason, so maybe you don't have the nasty starts. I don't know. Kev's just rolling his eyes at me.
Let's get to a part that's not too funny. Let's jump into the cuts real quick. A few guys got cut today. I don't have all of them. I don't know if I have all of them. But one name that stuck out for me was Dean, and we did say before in the Discord chat that there's going to be guys on defense that get cut that you're going to look at like, I wish he was on the team, and that's going to be like probably the harder cuts to make. I think that was the biggest one today so far, Dean. They did place Jimmy Moreland on IR and they released Greg Sanat, Pitta. I think the guy, I can't pronounce his last name, so I don't want to mess it up. Maybe Kevin knows how to pronounce it. Nick Vigil. Those are the first official cuts that was reported by Zach Rosenblatt. They waived undrafted free agent Claudin Perilous and somebody, and I think, Sam, can't pronounce the name either. Ugofin? Not too sure. They did say that if Dean clears waivers, they would expect to be in the practice squad, but he's talented. I don't think that happens. What do you think so far about the cuts, Jake? And are there any more coming up that's going to kind of feel like a kick to the chest?
I think the kick to the chest cuts happened today, to quote you. Like Bam Knight, Trey Dean.
Yes, Bam.
Like that Dean, I feel like was the one the fan base was like the most like disappointed in. But if we're talking about spots 50 through 53 on the roster, like I feel like we've come a long way, Jet fans. So I'm a little disappointed.
Yes, we have.
I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. You hope he doesn't become the next like Jason Pinnock, right? Dean goes to the Giants and he goes somewhere else and he becomes a long-term starting safety. But if for every Trey Dean, the Jets were able to find a guy like Tony Adams. So it's not like they haven't been able to find guys draft. He wasn't even drafted. He was an undrafted free agent.
Franklin Myers. Guy was got on the waiver.
Yeah. I mean, they got Barrios a couple years ago off the waiver wire too. So, I'm just not going to freak out over any of the cuts today. I think for the most part, it went as expected. Once they signed Dalvin Cook, kind of felt obvious Bam was going to be the outside guy looking in, that running back.
Yeah, some people were thinking Michael Carter, but of course, with where he was drafted and everything like that. Hopefully, he has a more productive year. I don't know how good, seeing as he's going to be running back 3. So we'll see what they can do. Any cuts that stood up for you guys, Jude, Kev?
No, I wasn't.
You addressed the one that stood out for me, so no, I don't have anything else. Yeah, and I think Michael Carter is remaining here simply because he was a 4th-round draft pick as opposed to being undrafted. I think that's the biggest reason. But no, nothing really stood out outside of that.
Moving on, sleepers and breakouts. I've been watching this kid for a little bit. My sleeper is Gibson. Love him in special teams. I think he finds a way to crack the lineup later on. He's just too good. Too fast, he's too shifty. You got to give him the ball. Got to get some touch to the offense. And like Jude said, if he likes him, he's going to play. So that's one of my sleepers. Breakout season is easy as Garrett Wilson. But if I was to pick someone else, Jermaine Johnson, double-digit sack.
Thank you for picking 2 when there's 4 people on the podcast trying to pick 1. really love that for us. Love it.
It wasn't a one choice. You know what I mean? Pick who you want to pick.
Thank you for picking 2. Thanks.
So
I know I picked Johnson for you.
I'll pick Michael Clemens. I mean, he's definitely being slept on because I don't think he's being talked about nearly as much as say last year, for example. But hey, he should get his opportunity theoretically, and I think he has the mentality at the very least, if nothing else, to get to the quarterback. So I'm gonna go with Michael Clemens. 4 sacks this year. Nice, like 4 sacks.
How about Thomas Morstead? He's a sleeper. We have a punter. No one's talking about the fact the Jets have a good punter now. We're sleeping on that. No more Braden Mann. I'm going Morstead.
Oh my goodness. Actual good field position. Wow, amazing.
Boy. Braden Mann. His biggest
Don't do this, Kev. Don't do this.
Helping them win the Rams game at the end of 20. We saw how much that did for us, right, Drew?
It's over. We don't have to talk about it anymore.
No, of course we do. It's a podcast. We're talking about Jets things, and that's the Jets thing. Like they could have won 0 games, and we could have Trevor Lawrence instead of a 40-year-old right now. But
you really just reduced him to a 40-year-old. That's crazy.
Is that
That's
not his
crazy.
age?
He reduced
that
Aaron
not his
Rodgers
age?
to
Is that not his age?
But why are we reducing Aaron Rodgers to a 40-year-old?
Because Trevor Lawrence is 24. That's why.
It's over.
Kev,
That was
do you
2020.
have
We're
a
in 2023.
Anyway, all right. Anyways, sleeper, Jeremy Ruckert. So because
Oh, that's cool.
Case named 17 people, so I don't know what you want me to do.
oh? It's a 53-man roster. Pick somebody.
Case named 17 people, so sorry. Jeremy Ruckert. I think he has some ability. Obviously, Rodgers is here, should get the most out of whoever's playing at tight end. Maybe he doesn't see enough field to get that opportunity. That's very possible. But if he unseats Uzama, which shouldn't be the hardest thing in the world. Like Uzama's cool. He's not anybody to worry about in that sense. He could do some things. A breakout. What do you want me to say? I mean, you said JJ. I'll just repeat it. Yeah, JJ, because he looks like a man possessed.
Say Sauce. Why do you say Sauce?
He's the best corner of football. He already broke out.
He said he wants to take. If you saw the clip today, they showed the mic up. I guess he was mic'd up or whatever on audio, going against was it Hyatt or whatever from the Giants. And he was like, "Why do you keep testing him?" He said, and somebody said, I wasn't looking when I said it, but somebody said because you don't take the ball away. That's why they keep testing. And Sauce did say he wants to take the ball away. So you could have picked him if you did your homework. All right.
Anyway, I'll revise my breakout pick. Tony Adams. There you go.
There you go. Make a decision. Okay.
Yeah, you picked 29 people, so I'm sorry that I was caught off guard by this. Apologies. I'm so sorry. Notice the number goes up every time I say it, right?
you pick 40 people. You tell them
it's gonna be like 78 people.
When it's all said and done, Jake, what is the Jets' final regular season record?
12-5 AFC East champions.
Oh.
Jude.
Okay, so I'll be optimistic here. I'm going to go with probably 11-6. 11-6 at AFC East Championship or second place.
That's optimism. 11-6.
How many?
Yeah, Kev.
Wait, how many teams in the AFC East? It's 4 or 5.
4.
5, right?
It's 5.
4 in the
and
AFC.
he just said, yeah, they might finish first or second. Like, okay, thanks. Like that's half of the standings. Thanks.
So bold.
Thanks.
So brave.
Give me 12-5. I think they finished second place in the East.
Wow.
How what?
You just said the same thing. You just said second place.
Brother, you said they're gonna finish first or second. That's half the fucking standings. Pick one. Pick one.
Well, I mean, I wanted to hedge my bets a little bit just in case.
Bruh, and that's why I said what I said. That see, I want to hedge my bets on a prediction on a podcast. You want to hedge your bets. Listen to yourself.
I'm gonna go 12-5. I'm gonna go 12-5. They win the division. Simply because I feel the defensive line is way too good. A lot of people have us maybe struggling against Kansas City. I think Kansas City has their own problems, and when we come out there to play, we're going to play them very well. So, and it's early in the season, Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, I'm going on that limb. I said it before. I've said it before. I feel like Kansas City is doing too much. You know what I mean? I feel like they can put anybody in wide receiver. I feel like they can put anybody in running back or whatever because they have
showed you they can.
Okay, I get it. But as every other team improves and gets better, you have to also improve and get better. Like Mahomes is the best. He can't get any better than the best. And Kelsey's the best tight end.
Actually.
Okay.
Mahomes threw 50 touchdowns without knowing how to read coverages. I think you're underselling him a little bit, and that feels impossible because I'm not
trying to undersell him. I just think with football, and there is some sort of parity on every different level, especially saying not just records but performances year to year. I feel like what Kansas City is doing is a very dangerous rope to be like, we're going to just play these guys. Like the Patriots, remember, the Patriots had a drought of maybe what, like 7 years between championships, or 8 years between
It was
championships,
like
even
10.
though they were really good.
It was
But yeah,
they won one in 03, right? 04. And then the next
Yeah.
one they won was
04.
14. So
Mhm.
14
Right.
years.
So yeah, it feels like, hey, you can't just put anything on the field. Sometimes you got to go out there and say, all right, let's get some actual talent to play. I feel that this season, the
I
teams in the
mean,
AFC are doing what they're supposed to do to
So
compete,
are you saying
especially on the
that
defensive
you want
side.
Juju back?
I'm moving on. I'm moving on. We're not getting to the Juju stuff anymore. The Juju stuff is done. We're not getting to that anymore.
Yeah, much like the player.
Make sure you guys comment, rate, and subscribe on the YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that share. And also make sure to follow us on MLPod69 on Instagram and on Twitter. And make sure you follow us on TikTok at middle_initial_pod. I had a great weekend. Went out to Atlantic City with my friends for my birthday. My birthday was the 20th, but I went out with a friend. And we had a great time, hanging out, just catching up, having some drinks, getting a little adult activity. Um, and of course, shout
Yeah.
out to our sponsor. Shout out to our sponsor. Dads are cool too. Shout out. Shop for your merchandise at www.dadsarecool2.com. Use promo code MIPOD69 to get 10% off of merchandise like this. Dads are cool too. The reason why this is important, I'm just inserting this nugget in here, because I did take some pictures just to chill out. I mean, took some pictures, but they came out really good.
Uh-oh.
So, nice promotion. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
This man really,
Nah, man, look at the look off into the distance.
this man really did the full IG right here. Wow. Damn. You
Took
did the
some
look.
photos.
What was the caption
But hey,
of the
listen.
picture? Like, what did you put as the caption? That's the important
There
part.
were the caption was "MI Pod 69 and Dads are cool too." Our that's our sponsor. That was a promotion. And Kev wanted me to talk about this for some reason. Because
No, don't do this for some reason. I wanted to give the proper respect to your modeling debut. So I don't. There's for some reason you're underselling it. You're being modest. I respect that, but I wanted to give the proper shine to your modeling debut. Can you pull the picture up one more time, please? The first one.
the first one.
Yes.
Look at that. Wow. You even got the stylish like glare in your glasses and everything. Like, you got the stylish glare in your glasses. You got the chains.
I had no idea Andrew was a baddie, bro. I had no idea until 21.
Crazy.
Yo, hey man, when you hit the big time, don't ditch us, man. That's all I'm asking. When you hit the big time, don't ditch us, please. Like I know you headed down the Tyson Beckford route. Don't.
Listen,
Don't ditch us when you get there, bro. Please.
hopefully that photo leads to more sponsorship, at least more branding, more merchandise and stuff like that. So once again, dadsarecool2.com. Use promo code MIPOD69 and get 10% off all merch on the website. Dadsarecool2.com. Shout out to our sponsor, our first official sponsor for the podcast. So shout out. And finally, the moment you guys all been waiting for, of course. Jake, are you a fan of hip hop?
I am. I probably don't know as much as you guys do, listening to a couple episodes of the pod before, but I am a fan.
I'm pretty sure you know more than you. As long as you got him beat by 100 votes. But of course, our most favorite part of the show,
it's the
Jude's
moment you've all been
Grooves.
waiting for. Pull up a seat and get off your feet for Jude's Grooves.
I'm going to read this. I did a quick read
Time
over it.
to,
Doesn't seem super crazy. So here it goes. It's our first time together, and I'm feeling kind of horny. Conventional methods of making love kind of bore me. I want to knock your block off, get my rocks off, blow your socks off, make sure your G-spot's soft. Okay? I'm call you Big Daddy and scream your name. Matter of fact, I can't wait for your candy raid. So what you're saying, I get my swerve on, bring it live, make it last forever. Damn, the kitty cat's tight. Is she calling her Big Daddy? Like, is that what's happening right now? Is this her singing and she's calling it Big Daddy? Because
Yes,
this is
dude. Yes.
okay. Just want to make sure. I was just like a bit confused. Daddy, slow down your flow. Put on me like a G, baby. Nice and slow. I need a roughneck nigga. Mandingo in the sack. Who ain't afraid to pull my hair and spank me from the back. Okay. No doubt I'm the player that you're talking about. But do you really think that you can work it out? I guarantee, shorty, it's real, baby. Stick it out. Here comes the man of steel. That's an interesting euphemism. And now there's the chorus. Doing it and doing it and doing it well. Doing it and doing it and doing it well. Doing it and doing it and doing it well. I represent Queens. He was raised out in Brooklyn. Doing it and doing it and doing it well. Doing it and doing it and doing it well. Doing it and doing it and doing it well. I represent Queens. He was raised out in Brooklyn. Okay. This wasn't the worst one I've read, so that's
No,
I
not
could actually get through it.
No. Like, we had what, slob on my knob last week? That was way worse than this.
That was, yeah.
Oh man! Once again, man, shout out to Juice Groove. Never fails us, even with the not so bad tame type of stuff. Dude never fails us. Jake, thank you for coming on, being a guest tonight, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you for coming on.
Inside joke, make sure you retweet this episode. We want no issues with you, all right?
Oh my goodness.
Not making that mistake. Jeez.
Right. Can't do that. Make sure you follow Jake Asman at JakeAsmanShow or Jake Asman at Jake Asman. Definitely listen. When can you listen to you on ESPN? You're like filling in and out, right?
Yeah, so the schedule's kind of up in the air. It's whenever they tell me they have a shift. Next time I'll be on ESPN 98.7 is Sunday, September 10th, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. So right in the middle of week one, going to be doing a huge Jets-Giants 4-hour preview show because we got Giants on Sunday night against the Cowboys and Jets-Bills Monday night the next night. So that's the next time I'm on. I would have told you that was the next time I was on last week, and then I got a text from my boss saying, hey, can you do a show on Friday? So it's always subject to change if they have an emergency shift that opens up.
2 primetime games. This is the first time it's ever happened to Jets. Giants on Sunday night football and Jets on Monday night football. That may be the first time in a long time, if ever, opening week.
Yeah, I think that is the first time.
I think 2010 had happened because remember the Jets played Monday night football. They played the first ever Monday night game.
Like 1 o'clock game. Yeah, but Jets played the first Monday night game, but I think the Giants played like a week one.
They played a day game. Yeah. I feel like it's happened before. I couldn't remember when. I mean, think about it. Both teams haven't been expected to be good in a very long time.
Right.
So, yeah, that's
right.
Crazy.
Yeah. Right. So shout out, man. Appreciate you for taking the time for coming out with us. Anything else you want to leave the people with, Jake, before you go?
Let's go Jets, man. If not now, then when? It's our time. Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go. Make sure you follow Kevin Lewis at KayleeW24. Make sure you follow him on Underdog Network. It's a great show, baseball show. What's the name of that show, Kev?
The only teams that matter on Underdog, where I talk about my miserable Yankees.
They got a big win today.
Talks about his shut up. Coley talks about his Red Sox, and we address other baseball things. But Jude, shut up. I'll say it again. One time didn't do it enough justice. Shut
up. Follow the very poetic MC Jude Truth at Jude Truth. Make sure you follow us on TikTok at middle_initial_pod. And make sure you follow us on Instagram and on Twitter at MIPod60. Appreciate you guys. We're out of here. Stay inspired by 69. Jets, 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 Jets.